Welcome to Discovering. Tonight we take a close look at the DNR Moose Survey that resumed this year to see how they conduct that survey.
There are 46 plots that we fly, 31 high density, 15 low density.
And the clay pigeons were flying in Manistique during the Youth Northern Conference Trap Shoot competition.
Just keeping your mental game strong. That's the most important part.
So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
The Michigan DNR just released the results of the 2023 Moose Survey that they conducted over the winter, and they estimate approximately 426 moose in the western UP, and that's just within an area they call the core area. I sat down with Chad Stewart of the Michigan DNR to talk about those results.
So that's the estimate for what we call the western core area. And that's about a 1,400 square mile area. Sort of the north range of that goes between Ishpeming and basically Baraga, and then it extends further south. What numbers are outside of that area, we don't know. We know that there are moose and we know that there are reproducing moose outside of that area. It's just we don't have a good way to count them outside of that area because they do exist at such low numbers. This year, there's going to be a camera survey that really goes across the UP. I believe it's for wolves that they're working on. And our researcher up there in the Upper Peninsula is hopeful that we can kind of use that as sort of a de facto UP-wide moose survey and at least get some like presence absence data. And maybe that will help us think about how we can get more of a UP-wide moose population estimate rather than that 1,400 square mile area that we historically have reported.
I actually had the opportunity to go up in the air this past winter with the DNR to see how they conduct their surveys and try to get video of moose. Brad Johnson, who has retired since this interview, was involved in the very first moose survey.
We do it in the month of January. You have to have complete snow cover to be able to see them. You're looking for a dark spot, a liver-shaped, typically a bedded moose is what you look for. And any wet spots or any upturned trees that are dark, if they're not complete snow cover, it's really tough to do the survey. We try to fly between 10 and 2 when the lake conditions are the best. The shadows on a bright day after 2 o'clock, it's tough to see them.
We flew 2 plots. Historically, one was a high-density plot and one was a low-density plot. But in that low-density plot this year, they counted 20 moose, which would now make it a high-density plot.
This would be Lake Michigamme. This would be the Covington Junction. This would be 95 Koski Corners. And you can see this would be the green plots are the high-density plots where the majority of the moose are. In these outlying plots, there's 31 of these high-density plots, and each plot, this numbered plot here, is 2 miles wide by 12 miles long on average.
Typically there's 2 observers in the back and just me up front. And when an observer sees a moose, they'll say moose left, moose right. And then I'll just start circling and try to get eyes on what they're looking at and then just keep it out their window so they can do the sexting and classification. We try to keep it at 90 knots. When the model was built, the survey model was built, they figured 90 knots, and we're usually between 300 and 500 feet above ground level as we fly it.
We'll look out typically a quarter mile and try to count in sex and ID the moose when we spot them. So that takes a lot of circling, and especially later in the season when the bulls tend to shed, and you want to ID a shed bull compared to a cow. So we'll sex ID them and rate the cover that they're found in and the behavior of the moose. Were they bedded? Were they standing? Were they running?
They actually counted 212 individual moose in the 2023 winter survey. The way they get to that 426 number is through what they call their Siteability Model.
But if you can think about flying over a forest and looking down and counting individual moose, I think it would be realistic to assume that you're not going to count 100% of them. And that model provides an estimate. And two of the most important factors in that Siteability Model are the number of moose that you're seeing in a group and the type of cover that you're observing those animals in. So if you can think about, say, a clear cut and there's like 2 or 3 moose walking through the clear cut in the snow, they're going to be very easy to see. But if you get one moose that's bedded under conifer cover, that's very difficult to see. Years and years ago, some researchers had some collars on moose in that area, and we flew over areas where we knew that the moose were, and we had different observers see if they could detect those moose or not. And from that builds out the Siteability Model. So it helps us get an understanding of, the different individuals that we see and the types of habitat they're in, an estimate of what we might be missing in those areas as well.
Here's one of our data sheets, and with all the information that we'll record. There's 2 observers in the plane besides the pilot, 1 on each side in the back seat. We try to rate the cover independently, take away any bias that we might have. And some people tend to think that it's really super thick when they spot it compared to their partner, which might think it's wide open. The first moose that you spot, a lot of times you'll spot a moose and you'll circle to go look back at it, and there'll be multiple other moose around it, like we did today.
As we circled areas, we spotted more moose, and it was easy to see how you could miss some hiding under trees. Surveying the moose from the air is full of additional challenges.
This year we had perfect snow cover, but we couldn't get the planes in because of the mild temperatures that we had. We were flying 182 Cessnas, and we're flying low and slow, and we cannot fly in any of that marginal freezing, thawing temperatures with that freezing rain type where you get an ice buildup. And we had those marginal temperatures a lot of the survey.
I asked Brad if he noticed any population shifts over the years.
This year, on this year's survey to the south, in Iron County, we counted a lot of moose, which typically had been marginal areas, but there were a lot of moose to the south this year.
Over the past few years, I've personally seen more moose photos on social media and more people reporting seeing moose in other parts of the UP.
I think it indicates the need for a more broader understanding of moose outside of that core area that we typically survey. Are moose sort of moving out of that area and starting to build up elsewhere in the peninsula? If we could answer that, I think we'd have a much better understanding of really how the UP-wide moose herd is going, rather than just sort of continuing to monitor that core area. I think the hope is when we reintroduced them and supplemented their numbers back in the 1980s, that they would do a lot better than what they're doing. And we would have, I think a lot of people remember the quote, we hope to have like 1,000 moose by the year 2000. And of course, that didn't happen.
The DNR does not know exactly why the population hasn't grown since the last survey. One thing they did notice in this survey is low recruitment, which could be a cause for concern.
So our calf to cow ratio was low, and the percentage of twins in our twin calves in our population were a little bit lower as well. There's a lot of things there that could be looked at and could be influencing our lower growth rate in moose, but we just simply don't have the answers right now.
Another factor keeping the herd down is at least 20 moose were struck by vehicles last year in the western UP.
When you think about the number of moose vehicle collisions that have occurred last year and, have seemingly been on somewhat of an upward trend, there's real concern there that might be impacting the potential for the moose herd to grow. So just sort of getting the word out and trying to communicate to be careful when you're in some of these areas that we know that moose are living in abundant, and just go a couple miles per hour slower is probably in the best interest for not only the people, but the moose as well.
I was invited to the Michigan Scholastic Clay Target Program Northern Conference Trap Shoot in early June at the Manistique Rifle and Pistol Club. This is the only youth trap shoot competition in the Upper Peninsula. There are only 3 sanctioned teams in the Scholastic Clay Target Program in the UP, and all on the East End. They are the Schoolcraft County Clay Busters, the Delta County Clay Crushers, and the Tequamanon Waterfall Association, or TWA, Clay Crushers. And they were all here today.
My name is Denny McBurney. I am the head coach of the Schoolcraft County Clay Busters Youth Shotgun Club, also affiliated with the Manistique Rifle and Pistol Club here. We started the Youth Shotgun Club in 2019. There's no bottom age as long as a student is physically capable of safely handling a shotgun. They're eligible to participate. We have 2 5th graders this year, and actually both those students were with us last year as 4th graders, and then we have all the way up to seniors in high school. The one thing, the Scholastic Clay Target Program has a requirement that the student be in good standing at the respective schools. So we kind of monitor that. After that, it's just a matter of signing them up. We're affiliated with the Scholastic Clay Target Program, which is a national sanctioning body, and then each state has a state board that oversees all the teams and shoots in that respective state.
I'm the head coach of the Tequamanon Waterfall Association Clay Crushers. We just call them the TWA Clay Crushers for short, because that's a mouthful. In 2014, we had everything all set up with SCTP. We had a team, registered as a team, and we had no shooters till 15. So it's been about 8 years of actual shooters. And we actually had a couple of 8-year-olds the first year because they were able to handle the shotgun and they took right off.
So the Delta County Crushers, we're a Scholastic Clay Target Program sanctioned team. Been in existence since 2011. I've been in the program since 2013 and have been running the team since 2014. We originally started out at Black Duck in Rapid River, and then we moved to the Mead Rod and Gun Club in Gladstone, and we've been there ever since. We've had kids anywhere from ages 8 up until 20 years old, and we've been attending these conference shoots and state shoots now for the duration of the time that I've been in the program. Today we've got 16 registered shooters here at the conference shoot.
My name is Madison Clow. I go to Escanaba High School and I am in 10th grade. No experience before coming here. A lot of it sprouted from the Delta County Crushers. Well, the first round I think I had like some beginner's luck there, but the last 2 rounds were a little iffy, but not too bad. I mean, any score I'd be pretty happy with. Just happy to be here, honestly.
Sophia Johnson, I'm from Newberry, and today I'm just giving her my best. I first started out, I wasn't super great, but I've come a long ways. One year I was runner-up in the state for the women's division, and I've had quite a few 25s, so I've come quite a ways. So it's all practice. It's showing up to the practices and just keeping your mental game strong. That's the most important part.
Safety is our #1 priority. We cover that extensively. That starts on day 1. We cover the fundamentals of clay target shooting, and then we bring them out to the range and start them off slow with straightaway targets and progress from there as their confidence and their competence grows. We see generally that they progress rather quickly. We bring kids along at a pace that's comfortable for the student and the coach and the parents as well. So again, generally our new shooters will just practice for the first year, and then we introduce the competition aspect the second year.
These kids are learning more than how to shoot clay targets.
It helps you grow as a human being. It teaches you to be independent. It teaches you to think for yourself and keep yourself motivated, because if you don't have self-motivation, then you might struggle in life, because without it, you're just gonna, be a procrastinator. You're not gonna get your stuff done, and this is the place where you can learn to get your stuff done and do it well, and just grow to be a good person.
One of the great things about shooting sports is they put all kids at a level playing field.
It gives those kids that may not be the run fast, jump high type of athlete another activity that they can participate in and excel. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female. I've got girls shooting in the program that shoot just as good as the boys. At every practice, we always play a game of last man standing, and Madison reminds me that it's not last man, coach. The game originally was called Annie Oakley, and the kids really have a good time with that. And on any given day, a newcomer at 11 years old could beat the kid that's a senior in high school and has been shooting for 6 years in the program. It's just the way it goes, and it makes it fun, which is one of the most important aspects of this program.
For competition, shooters are divided into groups by age and experience. In order to level the playing field even more, novice athletes compete in a separate competitive category from the more experienced athletes.
We have somebody in every class this year because of all the new kids. We got a rookie. We've got there's 2 different kinds of intermediate. Advanced is for the kids that are 6th through 8th grade that have shot before. The first year they're called intermediate entry, so they're in a separate classification. It's their first year. Same with varsity. We have 3 varsity kids and 1 JV, and he's old enough to be varsity, but it's his first year, so he's a JV.
They're all required to shoot 4 rounds of trap today. A full round is 25, so they'll all shoot 100 targets today. We have prizes for the first 3 places based on highest score. So,
Jay Skidrow, I'm in 9th grade, and going into 10th. Hopefully gonna get 25s.
So how long have you been practicing?
A couple weeks, that's about it. But 25s all day, because I'm a natural. That's what I do.
Well, today, not my best, honestly. I started off with a 19, and then I went up to a 24, and I've got 2 more rounds to shoot, so we'll see what happens.
I mean, the competitive nature of it, they kind of bring along or bring on themselves, You see them progress and they gain confidence fairly quickly.
I like that it's such a mental game. If you're not mentally set, then you're kind of done for the day. You have to keep yourself together, stay in your mind, and don't let, if you miss a bird, you just gotta keep going. You can't take it back. That's my favorite part for sure.
Adrenaline it gives you when you're shooting. I don't know, I think it's fun, and it's fun to try to get a high score and try to do better than what you did last time. And
did you hit all 25?
I was close.
You're close.
You got like 12.
These clubs are a great first step into the shooting sports.
It's just a great program. Michigan SCTP, they offer scholarships annually to outgoing seniors. I've had 2 kids in our program qualify and win that award in the past, which that says a lot for our team.
So my name's Terry Carr. I'm the head coach of Lake Superior State University shooting sports team. New team within the last year. We started fall 22. Today I'm just sitting out here getting some information out to these high school kids, letting them know that there's a place for them to go once they graduate. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a pipeline going from these young kids that are in middle school, high school shooting, making sure that they have an opportunity to get their education, still do what they love, get out there, shoot with their friends, and then graduate. Who knows, maybe they'll let it go after college, or we could end up having lifelong shooters and lifelong sportsmen. It's really the goal.
Each of the coaches mentioned they would like to see the sport grow across the UP, with other teams forming to grow the Northern Conference.
It's a good way to grow your club. It's a great opportunity for the kids in the area if you have an interest in hosting a youth club. It's good for the future of the sport as well. A majority of the teams are downstate. The UP, the Northern Conference, consists of 3 teams. We would like to see that grow. If there's anybody that's affiliated with a gun club up here that has the ability and the interest to host a club, we can certainly help them out. There's in excess of 50 teams downstate. So when we get on to Mason, it's a big deal down there. This will be our 3rd year going down there, and the kids really enjoy it.
Good luck to those kids participating in the state competition later this month. That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.